So today we're going to dive into a really beautiful and timeless Japanese folktale. It's a story all about the powerful ripple effects of our actions and how kindness and greed can set two people on two very, very different paths.
And this whole story really hinges on a fascinating question. What is the true source of good fortune? Is it something you can just go out and find, or is it something you actually have to create? Well, this story has a pretty magical answer to that.
Okay, so our story kicks off with a simple choice. It involves two neighbors who couldn't be more different, and one small, injured puppy who is, believe it or not, about to change absolutely everything.
All right, so let's meet the two key players here. On one side, you have a kind old man whose first instinct is to nurture and care. And on the other, a neighbor who's just driven by envy. These two opposing forces are basically the engine for the entire story.
The entire chain of magical events that's about to unfold, it all begins right here. It doesn't start with some big, grand plan for getting rich or famous, but with a simple, quiet act of compassion for a little puppy who needed help.
Now this is where we get to see how that one act of kindness starts to bear fruit, and almost immediately, how envy tries to swoop in and corrupt it.
So in this amazing gesture of gratitude, the puppy, who's all healthy and loyal now, reveals a secret. It's almost like all the kindness the old man put out into the world is about to be returned to him right from his own backyard.
And boom, just like that, his simple act of kindness unearths a life-changing treasure. His selflessness is repaid with this unexpected wealth, which, because of the kind of person he is, he's actually happy to share with his neighbor.
But watch the neighbor's reaction here. He doesn't see the kindness behind it all. He only sees the end result, the gold. He thinks the magic is in the puppy, or maybe the spot in the garden, so he literally steals the animal and tries to force the exact same thing to happen.
And well, the result could not be more different. It becomes so clear that the magic wasn't in the shovel or the puppy, but in the heart of the person doing the digging.
And this is where the story takes a really dark turn. When greed doesn't get what it wants, its next move isn't to reflect or learn, it's to destroy. The neighbor destroys the very thing he thought was the source of the magic.
But even after something that awful, the story's not over. For the kind old man, the magic it changes form. It grows directly out of his grief and his love.
The old man's response to this terrible loss isn't anger. It's an act of love and remembrance. He creates this beautiful, living memorial, and that itself becomes the foundation for the next miracle.
And then, something kind of mystical happens. In a dream, the puppy's spirit comes back. It gives the old man this very strange but very specific instruction, bridging the gap between his grief and a whole new kind of magic.
So he follows this advice, which came from a place of love, right? He puts in the work, creates the millstone, and when he uses it, the simple act of making rice cakes suddenly produces a shower of treasure. His faithfulness to that loving memory is rewarded all over again.
And right on cue, here comes the neighbor again. He borrows the millstone, expecting the exact same result. But because his heart is just filled with greed, not love, the magical millstone only produces filth for him. The tool is useless without the right spirit behind it.
We've seen this before, haven't we? This cycle just repeats itself perfectly. The neighbor's greed is denied, and his immediate reaction is to fly into a rage and destroy the source of the magic.
All right, this brings us to the beautiful climax of the story. The contrast between these two men is about to be put on full display for everyone to see, including a very important passing lord.
One last time, the puppy's spirit appears in a dream. It gives one final piece of advice. Take the ashes, the very symbol of the neighbor's destructive rage, and use them to create something new.
And this is where you really see the whole point of the story just click into place. In the hands of the kind man, even the remnants of pure destruction, these ashes, can bring about impossible beauty. He literally turns death into a vibrant, blooming spectacle.
This time, his action, which is rooted in kindness and love, isn't a private miracle. It's a public marvel. A passing lord sees this incredible sight and just showers him with rewards and honor. His goodness is finally recognized by the world.
So of course the neighbor makes one last desperate attempt to copy the magic. But when he throws the ashes, they don't create blossoms. They just create a mess, blowing right into the Lord's eyes. His pathetic attempt to copy the magic leads directly to his public humiliation and punishment.
Okay, so after all of that, The puppy, the gold, the millstone, the ashes. What is the real treasure this story is trying to show us?
The ultimate reward, it turns out, isn't the gold or the treasures. It's the ability to create beauty and joy in the world, to make dead trees blossom. That is the true magic.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The story suggests that this kind of magic isn't just in some fairy tale. The potential for it is inside our own actions. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? With the kindness that you put out into the world, what amazing things could you make bloom?